This week, the name on the marquee has certainly got to be Manon the Beast Fiorot, who this past weekend defeated Erin Blanchfield by a unanimous decision. The fight went down in Atlantic City in Erin Blanchfield's home court here, but it did not, unfortunately, go her way. The visiting team spoiled the party and went home back to France with the win. It was a very unanimous decision. I believe all three judges scored at 50-45 in favor of the French lady. Mark, give us your thoughts. There was a lot said about the game plan of Blanchfield and her corner going into this fight. What are your thoughts? I can't hear you.
And I'm back.
Oh, sorry.
Right about the mute. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to break down in this fight. Manon Fiorot was able to really fight the exact fight that she wanted to fight, and Erin Blanchfield was not able to do anything to change that. She definitely got exposed a bit here for a girl who had a ton of hype behind her coming into this. The size and the strength of Manon Fiorot, I think, was a real problem for her. She kept Erin outside all fight long and picked her apart. Even when they did clinch, the strength was evident and clearly causing problems for Blanchfield. Erin couldn't find any way to enter effectively without being countered. She couldn't find any way to enter effectively to land meaningful shots of her own. They were all kind of like chasing extended shots. Her takedown entries were forced for the most part. It was all Manon. And I'm surprised by that because Manon did nothing new here. She fought exactly how we've seen her fight in all of her previous fights. So that kind of brings me around to what you said as you threw this to me, which is the game plan. Like, I understand it's possible that, Fiorot was just bigger and better than Erin and her team had imagined, and maybe things were harder than they expected them to be. But that aside, you would think this whole camp would have been spent on working different entries into the striking or the takedowns. Like that Blanchfield wasn't going to win this fight on the outside. I think anyone was well aware of that coming into this fight. So you would think when you are fighting Manon Fiorot, you are drilling all camp different entries to be able to work your own game against a girl who is trying to prevent that. And it didn't really seem like anything we saw from Erin had much of a plan behind it. Like, she just got outclassed, and she looked a little desperate at times. She looked like she wasn't sure how to try to change the fight at times, how to approach it. So I don't know. It was strange. I think I and everyone else expected more from Blanchfield. If she lost, she lost, but I think just somewhat more of a showing than what we got from her there, because she really did get outclassed. Manon looked good. I know she doesn't set the world on fire as a contender that people are like chomping at the bit to see fight for the title, just because her style is not really one where she's looking for the finish. But it's gotten her now to the door of the title, so you can't really complain.
No, you can't. I mean, and at the very least, I think she is sort of a newer face. I mean, don't look now. She's like 7-0 in the UFC, but she still, to me, feels like she's kind of a fresh face on the women's side of the promotion here.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it was a case where I think Fiorot I think she seems bigger in there than her 5'7" build height, gives the first impression.
Totally agree.
And she fights big. She seems like a big, athletic, physically strong girl. And let's not forget, she's this is going against my usual shtick here. She's 10 years older than Blanchfield. Blanchfield's only 24.
Yep.
So maybe she's got that mom strength. She's got that middle-aged lady strength. And Blanchfield was a little bit surprised by that. Blanchfield usually, even against someone like Jessica Andrade, Blanchfield, you would think going into that fight that Andrade is going to be the stronger, more compact, like a freaking fire hydrant is Andrade. But Blanchfield bodied her. So here we go against Fiorot, and just too tall, too big, too skilled, and Blanchfield just could not exact her will in this fight and couldn't execute a game plan. and pretty disappointing. But again, as I just alluded to, she's only 24 years old, almost 25. She's 24 years, 10 months, and so soon to be 25, but still very, very young for the sport. Very, very young to be in the UFC, and especially very young to be this high in any division in the UFC.
Yeah, no, that's crazy young to be in a title eliminator, and she's, but by no means is like the book closed on Erin Blanchfield. I'm sure she will be back, and we will see plenty more great performances from her. But there's some tape to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah. So Blanchfield's record now falls to 12-2, and the French lady, is it? I want to say Frenchman. Is it French woman? French woman, French lady.
French woman. That sounds like it could
French
be the
woman.
case.
Okay. Fiorot's record climbs now to 12-1. The one, by the way, just glancing down her record once again, her debuting pro bout was a split decision loss to Bellator's Leah McCourt. And that was a fight at Cage Warriors 94. But that was a split decision loss. So worth noting, in each and every single one of Manon Fiorot's pro fights, at least one judge gave her the win. For those that went the distance, obviously. She does have a couple by TKO. Let's talk about where the beast goes from here, Mark.
I mean, we know the answer. She is certainly going to sit and wait for her title shot at this point. There's really no reason to do anything else. There's no one. I mean, I guess they could say like, oh, you got to fight Macy Barber. But in my opinion, there's no one else she should be fighting. She should be in line for the winner of Alexa and Valentina. She may have to wait a little bit, as I said, but I think that's exactly what she'll do.
Okay. And the young New Jerseyan, Erin Blanchfield, like I said, her record now falls to, 12-2? So, no, not 12-2. I'm sorry. Yeah, 12-2. The records are very close. What do you think could be next for her?
So I think she is the one who should be fighting Macy Barber. You guys know, last week I mentioned how I really want to see Rose paired with Natalia Silva. That's what I'm hoping for. Obviously, those girls are kind of in this mix as well as potential opponents for Erin. But I think Erin and Macy is the fight to make at this point.
I like it. Erin Blanchfield and Macy Barber. That'd be tremendous. Because what was the talk for Macy to fight? Was it Dern?
I don't think it was Dern. That's not the right weight class.
Oh, what was the chatter of who Barber could be fighting next?
I hadn't heard any.
Oh, you hadn't? Oh, okay.
No.
That'd be a tremendous fight, and they haven't fought each other yet.
No.
Man, that'd be a tough one. Who would I be rooting for in that fight? I love them both so much. I mean, I gotta go with Blanchfield, man. I know some of her team now.
I figured you would.
Yeah, got to. But dude, I love the future, man.